Welcome back. In today's lesson, we're going to be going over the restaurant analogy. And just like if you were starting a restaurant, it's no different than starting a financial services restaurant. They're very, very similar. And there's a couple of things to go over in the sense of why would you do that? Why would you have a grand opening and a pre-grand opening and all that? And the first is you would want to get some feedback from some people that you trust and respect. And secondly, more important than number one, is by letting others know what you now do, letting people know that you own a restaurant or that you're in this business now, they can send referrals to you. And so if they don't know what you do, how can they send referrals to you? And the answer is they can't. Same thing in the restaurant business. You would never just open the doors and hope people showed up. You would let people know, hey, I've got a restaurant. Please come check me out. And so very, very similar are these industries. And so let's walk through that scenario, read along with me, if you will. And so imagine that you're starting a restaurant, and after the initial investment, menu design, staff are hired, you're ready for your pre-grand opening. Who would you invite? And actually, let me ask this too, how many would you invite? Just a couple, two, three, four? Or would you invite everybody you knew? Because this is now a restaurant, this is now a livelihood. You probably spent a couple hundred grand to get it open. Would you just invite one or two or nobody and just hope they came? Or would you invite everybody? And so you would likely invite your warm market friends, family, coworkers, neighbors, acquaintances to attend your pre-grand opening, taste the food, enjoy the environment. Excuse me. During your pre-grand opening, you'll receive a couple of different types of feedback. And so the first is that some who are simply impressed with your restaurant, it may not necessarily be for them, in the sense of, let's say you opened a steak restaurant, but they were vegetarian. You would still want them to come to your restaurant come to your grand opening, because if they're friends with you and they know that you eat meat, they probably know other meat eating people and are probably friends with other people that eat meat that they can refer to your restaurant. And so they're going to be impressed with the restaurant. They're going to be impressed with you. And again, it may not be for them, but they may know other people they can send to you. So just a little side note there, don't disqualify somebody. Don't not invite somebody because you think they may not be interested. They may not be, but they know other people they can send your way. Second, some people are just going to refer people to you, to your restaurant. And so they go to your pre-grand opening or your grand opening the next day or the next week, they're at work. And somebody says, hey, I'm looking for a new restaurant to go to, or hey, my anniversary is coming up. I'm looking to take my wife or my husband, and we're looking to go to someplace new. Or, you live in a town and someone comes in from out of town and they're like, well, hey, where's a local place we can go? We don't just want to eat at a chain restaurant. Where's somewhere else we can go? And so you're like, oh, well, I know of a place, my cousin, my brother, my father, my aunt, they own this restaurant. We should go check that out. That's number two. Number three, some are going to come and enjoy the food, become a regular customer of yours. And so just like restaurants all over the country, all over the world, they've got people, every Wednesday afternoon or every Friday night or every Monday happy hour, whatever it is, they have their regular place that they go. And so some will become regular customers of yours. And again, they will bring other people with them, referrals, new business to your restaurant. Fourth, is some are going to actually be interested in working in your restaurant, maybe learning the business, learning the restaurant business. And some actually may want to open another location and become business partners with you. And so the whole point of having a grand opening is not for any one of these four, but all four of these things are important. All four of these things are going to happen. So we want to let some people know so that we can get, number one, honest feedback, but number two, referrals. And word of mouth referral is the best way to grow any kind of business, especially in this industry. And so as we kind of wrap this up, so the way you get referrals in the restaurant business is the same way you would get referrals in the financial business. And so let me ask you this question though. As you're getting started, let's say you had just spent $250,000 of your own money, or you borrowed, you got a loan on a restaurant, and there were a couple of people that came to your grand opening, and for whatever reason, they didn't like it. For whatever reason, the food was too hot, food was too cold, it was too salty, it wasn't salty enough. Maybe it had nothing to do with the food or the temperature or the taste. Maybe they had an argument or a disagreement with their spouse before they came to the restaurant. And so it had nothing to do with your restaurant. They were just already in a bad frame of mind walking in. And so they just attributed that. But so imagine a couple of folks, you invite 100 people down to your grand opening. 2 of them said it wasn't for them. They didn't like it. 98 people had a positive experience. Would you then, because 2 people out of 100 had a bad experience, would that mean that you should shut down your restaurant, lose all the money and capital and all the time and energy you spent, and give up on your dreams of owning and operating that restaurant? And the answer is obviously not. And so one other question outside of just the restaurant. So now you've opened a financial services restaurant, a couple of different ways you can do this. Would you rather make 200 cold calls a day to get or get referrals from people that you know? And so at the time of this recording, in almost 2 decades of working in this industry, I've never had to make a cold call. They've never told me, hey, you've got to make X number of calls per day. You've got to knock on X number of doors. You've got to hand out X number of flyers at the mall. Never had to do that. In fact, if they had told me that when I got started, I wouldn't have been here. I wouldn't be here right now today. Even if they had said, hey, it's only temporary, it's only for 6 months, or it's only for a year or 2 years, you've only got to do that, but then you never have to do that ever again. Even if that was the case, just short term, I still would not be here. And so we don't cold call. We don't have quotas. We don't have time restrictions. We do this around people's schedules, part-time, full-time, spare time. And again, we make it very, very simple for someone to get started. And so again, the question is, would you rather make a couple hundred cold calls per day or follow a system that gets referrals, that where you never have to worry about where's my next client going to come from, where's my next business partner going to come from? And so if you will follow the system will run your business, and it's predictable, it's duplicatable. And so let's get after it and let's go start building your financial services restaurant.